Okay, welcome to the program, everybody. It's November the 4th. You're with the Editor-in-Chief live. Evening, everybody. I'm Duncan, Garner. Welcome. Good to have you here. To those on TikTok, send us your messages through. All the details are on the screen there tonight. The former Kiwi Rugby League hardman and captain Mark Graham and his movie maker son Luke, the boy whose dad was considered the toughest and hardest bugger to play the game. How can you do your dad justice? Well, he did. You say, Dad, I want to make a documentary about your life and career, something for others to see, something for people to honour you, a record of you and your life. Now, anyone else, and Mark would have said, bugger off. No, thank you. No way. But he couldn't turn down his own son. Tonight, the Mark Graham story. So let's get into it.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yes, so Mark Graham, the Aussies once said, made New Zealand unbeatable. You have him on the field, you can't beat them. You get him off the field, and Australia will win. An incredible life story, and his son Luke's made a doco on his dad, the former Kiwi captain, a leader, and a dad. I spoke to Mark and Luke a little bit earlier on today. Gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, welcome to the program. Great to have your company. Welcome along.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
So this must be stop 10, 20, 30, whatever it is on the as you promote the doco. I'll start with you, Luke, and then go to you, Mark. But you guys sick of the media yet? You had enough?
I'd love to say no, but it is getting a little bit tiring saying the same thing over and over again to people and promoting the film. But hopefully it works. Hopefully we'll get the message out there. And we're really, to be honest, I'm really appreciative of the of everyone supporting it in the New Zealand community.
Mark?
Yeah. Yes.
I thought so. One word will do. Okay, so let's go back to the reason there's so much interest is because there's a huge amount of interest still in your father and the career that he had and the life that he had and you know, not a huge amount of it is known about behind the scenes, but certainly his playing career is well decorated and we know that. Luke, so what was your reason for wanting to do this?
I guess when you're making films or doing anything creative, you want to do something that speaks to you. The film industry is very hard in Australia and New Zealand, and you're going to get a lot of knockbacks, a lot of no's throughout the process, and you've really got to do things you believe in and things you think you can do justice to. And I'm obviously a massive fan of rugby league, grew up in the rugby league world, and there isn't a lot of documentaries or films about rugby league. We don't celebrate the past. Where we are with rugby league now is because of people like my father that put it on the map, and we don't have enough films, documentaries or content out there to celebrate that. So that was a very easy choice for myself. And I obviously the person next to me is my father, and I love him to death, and I think he's an amazing person and one of the greatest rugby league players ever. I know he stares at me uncomfortably when I say that, but it was a very easy choice to do for me anyway.
And Mark, when Luke came to you, I suppose it was one word, was it? It was a no?
Well, let me just say that it took me a while to think about it. But you know, as a father, you know, and anyone that's got children, if you can help them, you do. Yeah, for sure, I was in for it. But and really, I had not much to do with it, to tell you the truth. I spent 4 hours one day in a tin shed, and Luke asked me questions, and then he told me that it rained outside in the tin shed, and they couldn't hear the answers, so I had to do it the next day. And that's all I didn't view it other than the premiere. I saw it on phone. Luke sent me a copy of it, and I didn't realize the big screen and the sound of the movie theater, and it made it it was a great product, and it made it even better. So in the movie, yeah, I was really very pleased with it, and bad luck if I wasn't, because they're already made.
I know you're a humble bloke, and you don't you probably don't like talking about yourself or achievements and everything, but every now and then it does pay just to pause and have a look back at your life. And when it all goes into a documentary like this, not only does it honour your life, but it's there forever. It sticks on the shelf and it stays there for grandkids and their grandkids and so forth when we're all well gone. So it's a record, and I reckon that's really important, Mark.
Yeah, well, when you put it like that, I suppose so. Yeah, it's yeah, I don't really know what to say.
No, as you've said it all. Luke, growing up, you talk about your dad being absent a lot and that sort of thing, and that's what it was in those days. It still is for all sorts of reasons now, I suppose. But what do you remember growing up? You say that your dad's your hero in the doco, and you make it quite clear. What did you see growing up? Because you're a little guy looking up to this big guy. And what did you see? And when he wasn't there, how were you feeling?
Well, it's sorry, I'll get a bit closer. My yeah, Dad was. Well, I guess when I was younger, Dad was away a lot. You know, he did tours, but he was even with work itself. He was a rugby league was not a full-time job when my dad was around. You know, he had a real job probably, and he had probably two jobs at sometimes as well. And then he played footy on the side and had to train like that. So it was a commitment which took most of your time to be able to partake in what you loved. So it was something which you know you. Well, I guess I remember the jump. I guess I remember Dad. I remember a lot more of the family stuff, to be honest with Dad, because of course, I'd go to footy and I'd go to work with Dad on the weekend, and I'd hang around with people, and someone would mind me, or my brother Paul when he was of age and he came as well, and that was amazing, and that was kind of, I guess, the fun going on a school excursion, or going. It was quite a fun experience for ourselves to. We used to have lots of soft drinks and I think a few packs of lollies, etc. when Dad wasn't looking, and which was great. But I guess what I saw most of it was just the man at home when he was there, and it was I guess the toll that it took on him. That those endeavors that he was praised for, and obviously that's not Superman. He's just the man, just like everyone else, and the game was very hard on him, like many others. So I got to see I guess the person who was lying on the couch the day after the game with ice all over his body.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark, just in those days, you would have had to go to trainings as well as go to work, because, I mean, the players these days forget this, but not only were you guys top of your field in rugby league, but you had to go and have a day job as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it made it more difficult in the old days too. We used to play an Amco Cup, which is a midweek game, and so you'd life was certainly full. But it wasn't just me; it was everybody that played in that era. So it was just how it was. That was an accepted part of how it was.
Well,
So
you didn't know any other way, did you? I mean, that's what it was. It was not professional. You were
sorry, I
so
was going to say we were the lucky ones.
Well, my old man used to say when we watched the league, he took me to Carlo Park a couple of times, and we watched it at home, obviously, and he'd say that you got to watch this guy, Mark Graham. He's broken every bone in his body. The old man, no matter how many times we watched, he would keep saying this to me. He's broken every bone in his body, and so this was a line that he remembered, so he kept using. So we'd watch it and everything. Is it true that you break a lot of bones?
No, not really. I was, and look, it was the expectation to play with injury was just how it was. There was like so. Um, if you got injured and you didn't play on, your teammates would be looking at you sideways. If you couldn't play on, you had to be busted. You had to be in the ambulance leaving the ground. It was just that was accepted. And there's a lot of good players that got injured and wanted to go off and were never good players anymore because no one would play with them or coach them because they weren't tough enough.
There's a certain era there, and you were certainly part of that, where there was more than just rugby league. I mean, it was outright biff and thuggery. And I mean, who's the was it Boyd? Les Boyd?
Les Boyd, yeah, Les Boyd was recently put in the NRL Hall of Fame.
That guy. Yeah. So I like to go back on YouTube and look at old footage. Look at old games, and I love old boxing and old rugby league. My God. I mean, were you ever frightened going into a game? Did you think, well, I'm next?
No. See, I suppose that's the way you should. I suppose you had respect for your opponents. You made sure we always had people in the footy, so everybody had at least one person in the football team whose job it was to make sure the bad guys didn't win, and if they were successful, they weren't going to be able to leave the park anyway or leave the field. So that was just part and parcel, and all that furlore about Les Boyd not deserving to be in the NRL Hall of Fame. He was good at what he did,
Yeah.
and in those days you had at least one person in your side that was good at it, and that was rugby league. That's how it was, and there was an expectation that there's a price to be paid for everything.
Yeah, they certainly across the different games that you played, they came after you too because they couldn't beat you. If Mark Graham was on the side, Waddy Lewis said, I think, if Mark Graham's there, we can't win. But if Mark Graham's not there, we'll win. So you were targeted as well, weren't you? Do you remember being targeted?
Yeah, you do, but you're like it sort of made it a little bit easier in a way. because if you're carrying the ball and you attracted three or four people, I just pass the ball because I've done my job. You know, recently they've been saying they wanted to ban the kickoff because there's people getting knocked out all the time when they're carrying the ball back. Well, they're getting hit by four people at once, and the chance of one person overpowering four people is pretty. It doesn't make much sense even to try and. So if they just pass the ball, there'd be space somewhere.
Yeah. Luke, making this, do you reckon? I mean, I know you're very close to your dad and how you regard him. Obviously, it's how I regard my dad too. It's an obvious thing to regard your dad if he's a good man in such a way. But did you think you'd become close to your dad during the making of this documentary?
Oh, I have to say we were close. We were close prior, and that's probably what allowed us to get to that stage. It was, I guess you say, I learned more things of who he was, probably who his family were, and his friends as well, who are the dad's friends are footy players, and it was great to have conversations with them where dad wasn't around. I went down to Sydney. I was in Brisbane. I was in New Zealand, and I was interviewing these people who I remembered when I was 3, 4, 5, and it was great to just kind of have those honest conversations of most of the stuff sadly didn't get on we weren't able to use, but it was fantastic to have that experience. Who doesn't want to go down memory lane and get paid to make a movie?
Yeah, and so growing up, you were so are you church going? Would you say you're a church going family?
Well, I don't think Luke's went to all the Catholic schools and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. When was the last time you went to church, Luke?
Christmas.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe not. But I mean, Luke's 45. He was 45 on Sunday last.
It's yesterday. What day? Sorry, what day is it today? It's Monday.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Great birthday. So, great birthday. We had a great celebration.
Thank you. No, but my child goes to a Catholic school, so I think and I think that yes, I actually still consider myself a Catholic. I practice it through the making sure that I'm doing everything right every day. We still kind of do everything by the book. I just don't go to sit in the church anymore because I have 2 screaming kids. That makes it very difficult for everyone.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, Mark, do you pray or?
I pray. I pray the rosary in the morning and the evening before I sleep and when I wake up. And most people get a mention. So yeah, it takes it's maybe 20 minutes of the day or something like that each morning and each evening. And often I fall asleep while snowing the ground. I wake up, geez, that bloody and be lying on the rosary beads, and they're not much fun to lie on. I'll give you the tip.
Was your dad a disciplinarian growing up? I mean, if you came from that sort of Catholic background, was it you knew right from wrong, and was it that sort of approach in the house?
Well, when you said does he know right from wrong, I think that's your job as a parent to make sure that.
Is it for me or for you?
Well, I think it was for you.
It was for me. Oh yeah, no, actually, sorry, yeah. I definitely think Dad was I wouldn't say strict. I got to say I enjoyed it. I think it's healthy, and I'm trying to practice those things with my children. My children just don't like to listen to me, which is a sad thing. But I think it's important to have structure. And I really think it's important to believe in things bigger than yourself and thinking of others before yourself as well. And that kind of hopefully comes across in the story as well. It's it's certainly not preaching anything at anyone. And that's not the intention of the story. The story is to take out what you want out of it. But those values are certainly in there.
And what about post Rugby League, Mark? Where did you in 1988? I think was your last game, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So what have I done in the past?
Yeah, because you haven't really appeared in Rugby League again. Are you working in the mines? Or you're in Australia? You don't come back to New Zealand? What's the situation?
I was living in Australia, and I started doing a bit of coaching and working. I had a business over there, and helped Graham Lake called me, and he wanted me to go and help him at Manly, which is quite a big thing because North and Manly went seeing everybody. But it was good. I really enjoyed that. And then Graham got pretty sick, and Bob Fulton took over. So I was his assistant for a while. And then I went to North Sydney as a coach, and Peter Louis, very, very good coach. and then I went to the Cowboys as Tim Sheen's assistant coach. So I done 7 years of assistant coaching before I got the Warriors job, and then I spent 2 years at the Warriors, unsuccessfully, I might add, and then I went and coached some rugby in Auckland here, and went and lived in Japan for a couple of years to coach rugby union over there, and went back. I think I came back to New Zealand, and then Lindsay Proctor, a great mate of mine, he was over on the Gold Coast. He was doing management rights, a lot of things Kiwis do over there actually, and I went over and got my license and bought a place over there and was doing that for a time, and then. Someone got shot in a car park just up the road from us in a McDonald's place, and my wife just said we had a little baby girl, Grace, and she said, "Well, we're not bringing up our child in this environment." So we went up to where she lives, and we still live there now. Or she lived with her parents at Gladstone, which is in central Queensland, and it's like a big and heavy industrial town. And I reckon Queensland most probably. From the royalty runs from the royalties coming out of Gladstone.
Yeah, and do you people recognise you're still in the small town of Gladstone, and they get recognised when you go back to New Zealand? How was all that for you after all these years?
Not so much in Gladstone. They sort of know me as a golfer up there, I think, and everyone.
You wish.
And I was, and everyone's better than me, so they like to say good day to me, so they can say I beat that bloke last week. So, but it's nice to come home. I've got three sisters that still live here in Auckland, and nice to catch up with all my friends. And I went to the Kiwi reunion yesterday afternoon, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. It's lovely to catch up. And in fact, I was talking that much, so I missed out on the meal. Every time I walked towards the buffet, I'd stop and have a chat, and by the time I got there, there was no food left. So, but it was a wonderful day.
Do you look at the players today and the players of your era, and how do you judge the difference? What do you say is the difference?
Oh, look, it's very structured nowadays, isn't it? It's I look at it and there's I've got to say most sides, and it's just the way the rugby league's gone at the moment. They're only playing attacking football from when they get field position. So if your side's not in the right end of the footy field, or they're not going to use the ball. So it's about not making mistakes now, which is sometimes quite sad because. There's a time, obviously, you don't want to make mistakes. So, but the crowd's always also wanting it to be entertained, and I think that was the thing with rugby league. The ball was always seen, and there's always ball movement as such. But I understand both sides of it, and I just maybe like to see a little bit more football.
You talk about that time with the Warriors there as well. Will they ever win? I mean, there seems to be also a cultural mindset now that we always think it's their year next year. It never is. And it's such a battle, isn't it? But they have the most loyal supporters and they've got a huge following.
Yeah, wonderful supporters. I mean, no NRL club in the history of the game has ever sold out their pre-season games also, as well as all their in-season games. So the support's marvelous. I'm obviously a Warriors fan and a Kiwi supporter. Some of the refereeing decisions just baffle me, and I often think, God, they've changed the rules of the game and no one told me. On the weekend there was, and look, the Tongans played well and they obviously deserved to win because they did, but I'm standing in an advantage in the VIP lounge, and I'm watching the 10 metres that the referee runs out, and it's easy for him to judge because there's 10-metre lines on the field, and most of the time the Kiwis were defending, they were back at least 14 metres, and the other side, the opposing side, was back 7 metres. So that's a huge difference in the game.
I said the same thing to the guy I was sitting with. I said, these guys look like they're back 20 metres.
Exactly.
It's a different game at that point.
I was being kind when I said 14. I was just like, and it's not that difficult because you might get one or two wrong, and that's sure, but like consistently wrong to that extent. I was just like, wow, that was atrocious.
Yeah, and what are the Warriors? You talk about refereeing. Do you think the Warriors have been hard done by?
Absolutely. The Warriors, obviously, looking at their stats, they based their game around the 6 again, which is a really bad call. I don't think it's a good rule, but it's a rule that's there, so you got to play to the rules. And the referees just go, no, you're not getting one. So they tend to be a little negative with the ball because they're just trying to get 6 again all the time, which it's a tactic. And like if you're a favoured side, like the side that's won the last 4 comps, and good luck, they're a great side too. They play to that, but they get it, and so they're never without the ball.
Luke, I'll finish things off by asking, what did you've spoken to obviously lots of people during the doco. Who did you learn anything about your dad that you didn't know?
Um, oh, I did know a lot of it, to be honest. And as a filmmaker, you kind of when you're crafting the story, you really have to kind of know what you want to say because when you're asking for money from funding agencies, they really want to know the plan, to be honest, and investors, etc. They really need to know the details. Just like building apartments or a house, you really need to know all the information so you don't go over budget or waste money. So I didn't know a lot, but there was a lot of there was a lot of information I learned certainly through his sisters, which were great. We actually filmed in this space here with Lynn and Joe, which was great, and they were lovely. They told me, my grandfather, Tom, he passed away when I was quite young, so I didn't get to have much of a chance to have a relationship with him. But it was amazing learning about the family, the interactions, etc. So it was great, and obviously that was kind of where I wanted to learn about my family selfishly. So it was lovely to learn about a person I didn't get much of a chance to spend time with.
Yeah. Can I ask one final question of you, Luke? Did your dad have a soft side? Because we only know him as the hard guy, right? So did he at home? Was he soft?
He's actually both. He's actually both. He's kind of, he's hard when he needs to be, and he's soft when he needs to be. When he wants to be. He's actually he's quite a very caring person. Loves to give his opinion, and usually wrong. But that's you live and learn.
Well, you're wrong on that one. You're wrong on that one, Luke.
Yeah, exactly. Don't take any golfing advice from me. Is all I can say.
Something I really struggle to do is if I see something wrong, I'm a real rules orientated person. So if I see something wrong, I'm going to let people know it's wrong.
Yeah. So Luke, you're wrong on that one. Where can people see the doco? How do they pick it up? Where do they go?
It's coming out in cinemas across New Zealand from Thursday, the 7th of November. This Thursday, it should be at your cinema. If not, check out sharkofilm.com or on the social Sharko Film, and you'll be able to find out where it's playing. And please come along and support. We're not like Marvel or Disney or any of those big boys. We don't buy out every cinema complex. We play at a few cinemas, we play a few sessions, and they give us more if you guys turn up. So if you love rugby league, you love family, you love the Kiwis, come along and you'll see something special.
Well said and well made as well. Luke, thank you. Mark, thank you very much. You're a privilege to meet you guys and to have a chat. Well done. Cheers.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah, real privilege to have those guys on the program tonight. Isaac, do you know much about Mark Graham? I know. I'm talking to a 21-year-old.
Yes,
very smart man. You are, though.
I am a young gun in this situation.
Yes. I said young, I didn't say gun, but
I'll be honest. I was never a massive league guy.
Yeah.
As a kid, and so I know who Mark Graham is.
Yeah.
And I've heard the name before, but I feel
nice
like
guy,
I didn't. Yeah, and I feel like I didn't understand its significance. You know what I mean? Its true significance.
Oh, he's hard.
And that chat, and I'm very excited to go and watch the documentary because it sounds
I'm definitely
like
going.
a good time.
See, I don't go to the movies much.
No,
okay? I'm not a big movie goer. I get
it.
bored or I fall asleep.
Mm.
But that's one I'll go to.
Mm.
You know?
It's a very classic 50-year-old thing to do, Duncan.
What?
Fall asleep in the movies.
Wait, are you... Well, what? Do you go to the movies?
Not all the time, but if there's a movie that I think is worth going to see, then I will go and see the movies.
Yeah, that's a very 20-year-old thing.
Yeah.
I want to mention while I'm here, the Black Caps. Three tests against India. Brilliant, eh? Yep.
Fantastic. It was such a good game. I'm actually watching a replay of it right now in the studio.
You're focusing on work.
It's on the other side of the room. But fantastic game that last day. An absolute nail biter because it was day 3 and we were on the final innings.
Yeah.
New Zealand didn't score a particularly fantastic score in their second innings, and so it was an absolute nail biter. I'm currently in the replay sitting at India on 108 for 7. They need 39 runs to win.
Yeah, and they couldn't do it. It's amazing.
And we got in there.
I know.
Clean
so
sweep.
is that a
for the first
Hellberg
time.
Award? When you beat India, you beat India across 3 tests, clean
At
sweep
home.
at home first time.
Yep.
Well. Yeah, it has to be. Yeah. But it's not a World Cup, you see. May not.
Yes.
But it's better than the America's Cup.
Yes, I agree. This is significantly better.
And I asked TikTok a question during the interview with Mark Graham, rugby or league, and I think league's come out on top.
Well, see, I'm a union guy personally.
Well, you're sophisticated, right?
Oh yes, of course. But especially being down in Canterbury. It's Crusaders through and through down there.
Oh yes, of course it is. Yeah.
Obviously,
I'll get you another eye shortly.
The further north you go,
Yes.
the more Warriors it gets. And obviously there's lots of Warriors fans in Canterbury, don't get me wrong.
Have you got a Warriors jersey?
No, I don't.
You must be one of the only ones that doesn't.
I know, yeah.
They sell them well. Okay, I'll read you some 3 questions. I'll come back to you shortly.
Okay.
3 questions from the editor-in-chief.
Yeah, at number 1 today, stabbing. Why is there so much violence, gun violence and stabbing violence in Auckland? I mean, guns, stabbing now, it's nightly. It seems to be nightly. Drugs, broken people, people without jobs, people that don't have much to do. What's going on? How to fix it? People need worthwhile jobs. They need to get education, get on with it. Give them something. They need something to do. Idle hands make real trouble, I reckon.
2.
Number 2, fireworks is tomorrow. Well, it's actually started. I've got some bazookas in the car. Keep it and don't pull it down. All the usual naysayers are out there saying, don't do this, our animals. Well, take your animals inside, close the doors and lock them inside for one night. Is that hard, or is that just completely ignorant and naive of me?
3.
Number 3, how much to change a location of a toilet? In Titirangi in Auckland, $700,000. $500,000 of that is engineering costs, and the rest is moving the thing. Seriously? I mean, TikTok, you'd have a view on this. 700 grand for moving a toilet in Titirangi. Is there a better way? I reckon as ratepayers or taxpayers, we've got completely dumped on.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah, I mean, $700k to move a toilet. I mean, it's, the fact that it costs $700k to even put it in, but $700k to move it. I mean, hey, do you know the toilet I'm talking about in Titirangi? No.
Is it one of the famous ones, or is it just a public toilet?
It's a toilet, mate.
Okay,
Public toilet. Yeah.
then no. I
700.
I know.
I reckon these engineers, all these guys that do contracts for council and places like that, they're taking the mickey because they know they're going to get paid, so they just put an invoice in.
Well, this is the thing. When you're the only people in the country that can do it, then it is significantly more likely that they're just going to pump the price up.
Well, how many people can change the
I don't know, man.
location of toilets?
I don't know how many companies specialising in moving public toilets.
I'll check it out for you. Check it out, mate.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, so this government's rightly identified our education system as not performing, and our year-on-year results in core subjects compared to students from other parts of the world have continued to worsen and dive. Why do we spend billions of dollars and somehow just hope that it's going to get better? In many ways, to do nothing about our results and about where we stand is state negligence, not only towards our children, but it shows a loose approach to finance. Why spend $20-odd billion on education and the return on investment is less every year? We would not accept that in our own lives, so why do we let this rot extend through to our kids' lives in the schoolyard? Our maths results are the most worrying. So this government's putting, wait for this, $2 million into a pilot testing 2,000 struggling students. At first glance, you might say, wow, good work. Nationals identified the issue and good on them. But this is a crisis. But the response is only noteworthy, really, on a slow news day. In a nation where a traffic accident that kills one person leads the news all day Sunday. Honestly, it's a pilot, and if it works, the government will look to take it further. Yay! Why wait, though? The crisis has been years in the making, or is it just National being tight? $2 million. It's 2,000 kids. It's like picking 200 kids from 10 North Shore schools and seeing how it goes. Hundreds of thousands of kids need help. I mean, the stats don't lie. This is New Zealand's biggest problem in education, as it was our maths. We know the issues, but we're slow in backing away to fix it. We write reports, we promise changes, we write another report, then we bin them and write another. We need urgent culture change in our schools. I mean, NCEA is a bloody laughing stock. It's a holiday camp where one senior leader of a top Auckland secondary school, principal of a top Auckland secondary school, told me recently that everyone must pass, they must have fun, and they must not feel like it was too tough. We've wrapped our kids up in cotton wool. We've spoon-fed them, and we've placed them into bed with a device and milk and cookies. When it gets hard, they're prescribed an anxiety counsellor who formalises their issues and now they're absent long term. No one wins but the counsellor who's now being inundated with excuses looking for a counsellor to hide behind. When the going gets tough, they hide behind that. Let's start with homework. Look at this. Where are we at there? Well, where is it then the successful students do the most homework? And it's compulsory in all the countries doing well. Singapore, Japan, China, Russia. Take Singapore. Roughly speaking, on average, they must do 9 to 10 hours. It's actually 9.4 hours a week they do. New Zealand students, homework is not compulsory. It's up to the schools. But we don't even make the list of countries to do with homework at any level. When homework's mentioned, we're not on the list. I asked two 14-year-olds, I won't say who, it's obvious. I asked two 14-year-olds today how much homework they did. One said to me, fuck all. The other said, not much. And I said, well, they're the same things. Even Matthew Ridge, long-time education scholar and commentator, and former All Black and league player who now lives in France, said his young kids, his Frenchies, do hours of the stuff, and our system is poked and fallen behind, is what he said. He says his kids' school bag is like 11 kgs because there's so many books in there. The best performing kids do about 10 hours a week. China, Singapore, Russia, South Korea, Japan, France. We are not pushing our kids. Our schools are hit and miss. There's no compulsion. Our kids appear, maybe they're too cool, too smart, too busy on social media, addicted to themselves and the fake universe we've created for them, which is going to turn out in reality to be a really hard transition for some. It will be a wake-up call that many will handle, but lots won't. So let's set them up for success by repeating the real world, not setting them up for failure by giving them a soft option. This may well be dismissed as grumpy old white man spouts off about kids' lack of success, but it's more than that. This is a giant issue that the government has already acknowledged, but it's acknowledged it with the tiniest of measures. If we're going to beat these demons, we better throw people and money at it to sort it. Match the level of the crisis with your response. Much, much more needs to be done, and none of this is a cost. It's an investment in our future, not a cost. We've drifted so far behind that playing catch-up will be really difficult. It won't be easy, but we've got to start somewhere, and National has to do more than it's outlined today, I reckon. Right, that's us. Isaac, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much.
Garner.
Whoa.
What? That was a loud one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Duncan Garner.
Oh, these are all the options, are they?
Garner.
Well, there we go. It's a little bit smoky, isn't it, that one there?
Yeah,
a bit hissy, yeah. Anyway, right. Homework. 10 hours a week. It seems like a lot, doesn't it?
That is a lot. I mean,
come on.
Like homework, obviously there's the benefits, but 10 hours a week.
I know.
That's a part-time job, you know?
Well, so is being on your phone 30 hours a week. It's a full-time job.
Exactly.
We don't have any compulsion. We are setting them up for failure.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to, They've got to understand the real world a little bit. So you've got to, I mean, how was the response today? How much homework do you guys do? F all.
Yeah.
They didn't even look at me when they said that. Where's the respect, Isaac?
Oh, it's gone out the window.
You can't demand it, mate. You've got to earn it. Eh?
Oh, yeah. Always.
God, you're sick of me yet. Right, that is us. Thank you, brother. This will be available as a podcast on Rover shortly and wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for your feedback and support. I'm Duncan at rover.nz, to my team, Isaac, and our consultant at large, Forrester. Thank you, guys. We'll do this again tomorrow. Remember, life's no dress rehearsal, no curtain raiser. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth, so get out and enjoy it. Remember, no fireworks tonight. We've got rules to stick to. Have a great night. Take care.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.